module, we will discuss the manipulation of data within a computer. Computer is basically an information processing system. The processing of data and storing of information is referred to as data manipulation. Now we will have a detailed look on data manipulation. Data consists of individual facts or pieces of information that by themselves may not be of much sense. The computer processes these data in different ways and converts them into useful information. Like any other machine, a computer is a collection of parts and they are categorized according to the kinds of work they do. During information processing, the computer processing components perform actions on the data based on the instructions from user or from program. Processing devices. The transformation of raw data into information is called processing. To perform this operation, the computer uses two main components, the processor and memory. The processor or the central processing unit or the CPU is the brain of the computer. In a personal computer, the processor usually consists of one or more specialized chips called microprocessors. The microprocessor is plugged into the computer's motherboard. The motherboard is a rigid rectangular card containing the circuitry that connects the processor to other hardware. In modern computers, these devices are built directly into the motherboard. Some of the newer microprocessors are large and complex enough to require their own dedicated circuit boards which plug into a special slot in the motherboard. The information processing cycle. Different types of operations are required to process the data and convert it into useful information. The set of procedures the computer follows to receive data, process data according to instruction from program or user, display the result, that is the information to the user, and store it are called the information processing cycle. The information processing cycle has 4 parts. Each part consists of one or more components. Input. At this phase, the computer accepts data from some sources such as user or program. Processing. During this phase of the cycle, the computer's processing components perform actions on the data according to the instruction from the user or program. Output. During this step, the computer may be displaying the results of its processing. The output is in the form of text, number, graphics or sound. The output can also be sent to a printer or transferred to another computer through some network. Storage. Here, the computer stores the results on a disk, tape or some other storage medium which is more permanent in nature. Output and storage are optional. Central processing unit. The central processing unit or the CPU is called the brain of any computer system. All major calculations and comparisons in a computer are made inside the CPU. The CPU activates and controls the operations of other units of a computer system. The major structural components of the CPU are registers, arithmetic and logic unit and control unit. The central processing unit and the memory architecture is given in the following figure. These components are connected by a bus, which is a collection of parallel lines for transferring address, data and control signals. Buses can be both internal and external to the CPU. The external buses connect the CPU to memory and input-output devices. The primary function of the CPU is to execute sequences of instructions. Registers. Registers are special memory location used as the temporary storage location within the CPU where data fetched from the memory can be held. Within the CPU, when the instructions are interpreted and executed, there is a movement of information between different parts of the computer. So, the registers speed up the rate of information transfer. Most computers use several types of registers. Each of these registers has the ability to receive information, hold it temporarily and to pass it on to as directed by the control unit. The length of the register is equal to the number of bits it can store. Most of the modern CPUs have 32-bit or 64-bit registers, which means the register can store 32 bits or 64 bits. The length of the register is often referred to as its word size. The total number of registers varies from computer to computer, but there are some special registers common to all computers. They are memory address register. It holds the address of the active memory location. It is loaded from program control register when an instruction is read from memory. Memory buffer register. It holds the contents of the accessed memory word. The instruction word placed in this register is sent to the instruction register. A word to be stored in a memory location must be transferred first to MBR from where it is written in memory. It also holds the information which is read from any memory location to where it is actually read. Program control register. It holds the address of the next instruction to be executed. In normal programming scenario, the instructions are stored in consecutive memory locations and are executed in sequence. But for the branch instructions, the next instruction's address will be transferred to PC register. Accumulate register. It holds the data to be operated upon, the intermediate results and the results of processing. It is used during the execution of the instructions. Most of the computers have more than one accumulator register. Instruction register or I. It holds the current instruction being executed. When the instruction is stored in this register, the operation part and the address part of the instruction are separated. The address part is sent to the MAR and the operation is sent to the control unit. Input-output register or IO. It is used to communicate with input-output devices. The input device transfers all the input information to this register and all output information to any output device are transferred to their register. Arithmetic and logic unit. The actual execution of the instruction takes place at the arithmetic and logic unit or the ALU of the computer system. The execution of an instruction is a result of the data processing operation, which is the function of ALU. The ALU has some special purpose register such as accumulator and necessary circuitry to carry out all arithmetic and logic operations supported by the CPU. The ALU consists of the instructions that is used by the control unit to request an activity within the ALU and is capable of all arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. All logic operations such as less than, equal to, greater than, etc. and Boolean operations such as AND, OR and XOR, etc. Another collection of operations available within most ALUs allows the contents of registers to be moved to the right or the left within the register, which is known as either shift or rotate operations. The data and instructions stored in the primary memory are transferred to the ALU as and when needed. Intermediate results generated in the ALU are temporarily transferred back to the primary storage. Thus, data may be moved from primary memory to ALU and back to primary memory several times during the processing. After the completion of processing, the final results are transferred to the primary storage. The type and the number of arithmetic and logic operations that a computer can perform are determined by the engineering design of the ALU. The input and output of the ALU is shown in the following figure. The ALU contains various functional units such as adder unit to add signed integer numbers, shift unit to perform shift operations, logic unit for Boolean logical operations, multiplier unit for multiply integers, division unit for integer division, branch control unit for comparisons, floating point unit for floating point addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. Decimal arithmetic unit for BCD adders and subtractors. Control unit. The control unit selects and interprets program instructions and then coordinates their execution. It has some special purpose register such as program control registers, instruction registers, memory address registers, memory buffer registers, etc., and a decoder to perform these activities. Each instruction is accompanied by microcode, that is, very basic directions that tell the CPU how to execute the instruction. Since the control unit controls and coordinates the entire computer system, it can be thought of as the central nervous system for all other components of the computer. It obtains instructions from the program stored in the primary memory, interprets the instructions, and issues signals that cause other units of the computer system to execute them. The functions of control unit are summarized below. Fetches the instruction from the primary memory at the location pointed to by the program counter register. Decodes the instruction in the instruction register. Execute the instruction by means of sequencing a series of control signals to other components of the CPU. Controls or data transfers between various components, both external and internal. In general, controls the entire computer by means of the timing and control unit. The functions of the control unit can be considered as two basic tasks. They are sequencing. Control unit causes the CPU to step through a series of micro operations in the proper sequence based on the program being executed. Execution. The control unit causes each micro operation to be performed. For the control unit to perform its function, it must have inputs that allow it to determine the state of the system and outputs that allow it to control the behavior of the system. These are external specifications of the control unit. The control unit must have the logic required to perform its sequencing and execution functions internally. The general model of the control unit is given below. Here, clock, which generates clock pulse. Instruction register, the opcode of the current instruction is used to determine which micro operations are to be performed. Flags, to determine the status of the CPU and the outcome of the previous ALU operation. Control signals from control bus. These are the signal inputs to the control unit to interpret and acknowledgement. Control signals within the CPU. These are output signals from control unit and of two types. Those to cause data to be moved from one register to another and that activate specific ALU functions. Control signals to control bus. These are also output signals. These are of two types, one to memory and the other to I/O modules. When the entire CPU, that is both control unit and arithmetic and logic unit, is contained on a single tiny silicon chip, it is called a microprocessor. The stored program concept. The idea of storing a computer's program in its main memory is called the stored program concept and has become the standard approach now. The computer uses these programs by copying the instructions from memory into the control unit as and when required. Each instruction is decoded and executed in the control unit. The order in which the instructions are fetched from memory corresponds to the order in which they are stored in memory. The idea was introduced in the late 1940s by John von Neumann, who proposed that a program can be electronically stored in binary form in a memory device, so that instructions could be modified by the computer as determined by intermediate computational results. John W. Mushley and J. Presper Eckert contributed to this idea, which enabled digital computers to become much more flexible and powerful. Also, engineers in England built the first stored program computer, the Manchester Mark I, shortly before the Americans built EDVAC, both operational in 1949. Program execution. To get an idea of how the overall execution process takes place, the working of control unit is to be thoroughly understood. Within the control unit, there are two special purpose registers, the instruction register and the program counter. The instruction register holds the instruction being executed. The program counter contains the address of the next instruction to be executing. By this, the machine keeps track of the program being executed. The control unit accomplishes its task by continuously repeating a three-step process algorithm called machine cycle. The steps in the machine cycle are fetch, decode and execute. Fetch. The control unit requests the main memory to provide it with the instruction that is stored at the address indicated by the program counter. Thus, the fetch process involves retrieving the contents of two memory cells from main memory. Then the instruction received from memory is placed in the instruction register and increments the program counter by 2 so that the counter now contains the address of the next instruction stored in memory. Decode. At this step, the control unit decodes the instruction in the instruction register. It involves breaking the operand field into its proper components based on the instruction's opcode. Execute. The control unit then executes the instruction with the help of appropriate circuitry to perform the requested task. For example, consider the load instruction to load from memory. The control unit sends the appropriate signals to main memory, waits for main memory to send the data, and then places the data in the requested register. Then check the instructions. If it is an arithmetic operation, the control unit activates the appropriate circuitry in the ALU with the correct registers as inputs and waits for the ALU to compute the answer and place it in the appropriate register. Once the instruction which is in the instruction register has been executed, the control unit again starts the machine cycle with the fetch step. Since the program counter increments at the end of each fetch, it provides the control unit with the correct address again and again. In short, the execution of a program stored in memory involves the same process we use while following a detailed list of instructions. As we keep the place by marking the instructions, the computer keeps its place by using the program counter. After determining which instruction is to be executed next, we would read the instruction and extract its meaning. Then we may perform the task and return to the list of the next instruction. In the same manner, the computer executes the instruction in its instruction register and then continues with another fetch. The steps for execution of an instruction by the CPU. First, control unit gets the address of the next instruction to be executed from program control register and gets the instruction from the specified memory address into the instruction register. Second, the control unit sends the operation part of the instruction to the decoder and memory address register. Third, the instruction is interpreted by the decoder and the control unit sends signal to the appropriate unit. 4. After each instruction is executed, the address of the next instruction to be executed is loaded into the PC register automatically and the above steps are repeated. Process speed and different types of processors. The control unit operations and the ALU operations are high-speed operations. These operations are synchronized by a built-in electronic clock known as system clock. Instructions are fetched, decoded and executed according to the clock cycles. One cycle is the time it takes to perform one operation, like moving a byte of data from one memory location to another. For each fetch, decode and execute, several clock cycles are required. Thus, if the clock cycle is short, the processor will be fast. That is, the speed at which an instruction is executed is directly related to the computer's built-in clock speed, which is equal to the number of pulses produced per second. Most of the today's computers have clock speed in between 0.5 GHz to 4 GHz. Types of processors. CISC processors. One of the earlier goals of the CPU designers was to provide more instructions in the instruction set of a CPU to ensure that the CPU supports more functions directly. Every additional instruction in the instruction set of a CPU requires the necessary hardware circuitry, which makes the CPU more complex. Another goal of CPU designers was to optimize the usage of expensive memory. To achieve this, the designers tried to include more instructions in memory by introducing the concept of variable length instructions such as half word, 1.5 word, etc. CPUs were also designed to support different types of addressing modes. CPUs with a large instruction set, variable length instructions and a variety of addressing modes are said to be complex instruction set computer or CISC architecture. Even though they make it easier to translate high-level language to machine language, they are complex and expensive to produce. RISC processors. In 1980s, it was realized that many instructions supported by a CISC-based CPU are rarely used. Hence, it is modified by implementing only some basic set of instructions and some of the more frequently used instructions in the hardware circuitry of the CPU. Other complex instructions can be implemented in software by using the basic set of instructions. Also, all the instructions are made of uniform length so that decoding and executing the instructions become simple and fast. Here, a notable change is all the instructions are designed in such a way that they retrieve operands stored in registers in CPU and not from memory. This resulted in producing faster and less expensive processors by speeding up the computation and reducing the complexity of handling a number of address modes. CPUs with a small instruction set, fixed length instructions and reduced references to memory to retrieve operands are said to have reduced instruction set computer or RISC architecture. They are faster for most applications, less complex and less expensive to produce than CISC processors. But the programmers should implement complex computations by combining simple instructions. EPIC processors. The EPIC or the explicitly parallel instruction computing technology allows the software to communicate explicitly to the processor when operations can be done in parallel. Thus, it is different from traditional processors and uses tighter coupling between the compiler and the processor. Processors based on EPIC architecture are simpler and more powerful than CISC or RISC processors. These are designed for high-end servers and workstations. Multi-core processors. Recent trend for making processors faster is to build multi-core processor chips instead of powerful single-core processor chips. The multi-core chips do not necessarily run as fast as the highest performing single-core models, but they improve overall performance by handling more work in parallel. In a multi-core processor, each core has its independent cache providing the operating system with sufficient resources to handle multiple applications in parallel. Chip makers like Intel, AMD, IBM and Sun have already introduced multi-core chips for servers, desktops and laptops. The current multi-core chips are dual-core, that is 2 cores per chip, quad-core, 4 cores per chip, 8 cores per chip and 16 cores per chip. The experts say that multi-core processors are useful in server class machines but not so good on desktop systems until software vendors develop more multi-threaded software. This module gives an overview of how the data are manipulated and the main component, that is the CPU of the computer, used for manipulation of this data. This module also covers the topics such as the information processing cycle, the steps for execution of a program, etc. And this module concludes by referring to the speed of the processors and some of the different types of processors. Before we conclude, please try to answer the following questions. Define the term data manipulation. What are the 4 phases of the information processing cycle? Explain machine cycle. What are the functions of a CPU in a computer? What are the main functions of ALU? What is a register? What are the different functions of a register? Name the commonly used registers of a computer. What is meant by the speed of a processor? How does it relate to the clock speed? Compare between CISC and RISC processors. What is a multi-core processor?